Monocle smile.
Smile. Presidential ab point.
Good. Glad this is the recording on video and recording on audio. I did get both of those things. Only on the video version, though. The one that no one watches.
Silverfish hand catch.
There are many exotic card throwing contests.
1 or 12 medals for exotic card throwing competitions.
Many Bermuda Triangle mysteries to solve. I must
With
ride
large magnifying glasses.
giant magnifying glasses. I must ride my jet ski lion into the sunset.
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah, I use that all the time. Jet ski lion, and no one gets it, and I don't even care.
Sweet
I must-
lullabies on
I've
my
started
dad's
showing
telephone.
people.
Must ride my jet ski lion into the sunset. An
Building
orphanage.
Orphanage for
With
children with my
Bare
bare hands.
hands while playing them lullabies on my
Sweet
abs.
lullabies
on
on
my
my
abs xylophone. Hello, ladies. How are you? Fantastic. Hello, ladies.
All speeches must be made in a towel.
Presidential ab point.
Oh man.
You are my dearest internet friends. Live from the home of Face. Damn it! I can't even do my own intro. I can't even do my own intro. I have an intro. I wrote it. Can't do it. Possibly I have a rubber duck on my head.
Excellent.
Distracting.
It's distracting.
Fascinating.
Let's see if I can do this.
No, Elliot. No.
I saw Elliot like snuggling up with something.
Elliot is shredding the touch cover.
It's unfortunate. I might need it.
Yeah, well.
Okay, give it a little bit of silence so I know where to edit. Live from the home of ugly Facebook babies everywhere, you're listening to Techies Talking Tech Tonight, colloquially known as T4, for June the 9th, 2014. I'm your host, Trey Comstock. With me this week is Executive Editor Jimmy Principe.
Hello, internet.
And Senior Writer Sydney Foster.
Hey, guys.
So
We're
this
mixing
is
it up.
so this is the show where we just talk about things, kind of whatever's on our mind. That's a lovely angle. Put that away, Darwin. Like that. Maybe some cat butt shows up on the camera.
So wait, do we have to be more appropriate because Sydney's on the show? Is that how this works?
I don't know.
I'm just here to
Darwin
bring down the testosterone level.
Darwin just
Hey.
flashed the audience. So I look. I
So
don't
what you're
even.
telling me is that we can't possibly jump the shark because Darwin already did.
Darwin just just flashed the audience again. This is really
This is great television.
This is, for those of you in the audio version, Darwin is a cat, and he keeps walking his ass in front of the camera repeatedly, and
It's charming.
it's charming.
He's adorable.
So this has gone off the record. This is broken. I don't even know. So Jimmy, what's new with you?
So, in continuing trials of executive or enterprise tech, so my company was recently acquired by another significantly larger company, which means all sorts of fun tech changeovers have occurred. One of which is we now have to use a VPN to access all of the servers and everything for home base, which is located in Maryland, and I'm located in Houston, Texas. And such that, so we use an Oracle server, and I used to think that Oracle made like good stuff, and now that we use an Oracle server, I've learned to hate them with a passion that burns brighter than a thousand suns.
So what has brought about this relative hate or newly found hatred for Oracle?
It's really just that it's an Oracle web app, and it's buggy, and it's been known to just like lock up for no reason and crash. And when it does that, it also, because you're VPN'd into it, it breaks the VPN,
Sure,
which
yeah.
then locks out all of your internet, which forces you to restart your computer in order to reconnect everything, which
So
is
what
excellent for productivity.
So what exactly are you having to route through the VPN?
I have to route through the VPN in order to access anything on their internal servers. So this specifically is my time card, any of my and basically any of the resources that I have to use as part of my new company are all located on their servers, and they say, oh yeah, you can access them from the internet, but that means that you just VPN in and do it that way. Also, I had to explain to more people than I felt was reasonable what a VPN is and how it works.
virtual
and why,
private
when
network.
Even
the
I knew that.
VPN is turned on, you cannot print from your local computer because you're not on your local computer. You're not on your local network anymore. You're on the network.
Well, you're on the internet, and then on
internet.
in your virtual life. Are you just virtualizing a machine within?
No, I mean, so I'm on an actual machine, but the way the VPN is set up, my understanding of the way, you can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding of the way VPN sets up is that when you have the VPN turned on, all of your internet traffic routes through, all of your outgoing traffic routes through the VPN, which is one of the reasons why you want to use a VPN on an unsecure server.
Well, it depends on the VPN. That is a way that a VPN can work.
That's the way this one works.
Okay, but, I use a VPN. That was going to happen.
There goes Duck Satan.
There goes Duck Satan.
Back to the depths.
Duck Satan.
I use a VPN to tunnel into Emory Citrix stuff, and that is just the traffic I'm sending through the Citrix stuff that's going through the VPN. And as far as I can tell, the rest of my stuff isn't, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to detach your local area stuff. So theoretically, depending on how your printer is set up, you could. There's nothing that says within a VPN that you couldn't print. It just depends on how your printer is initially configured. Because theoretically, you could still. I mean, you're still connected via a local area network. It should just be your web traffic, if anything, that is all being routed through the VPN. That you can all route through the VPN.
Yeah, all I know is that whenever I have the VPN turned on, it locks me out of all of my local printers, and I can still access. Oh, I actually don't know if that's true. I don't think I can access any of my local any of our server stuff, and it might be just because of how our server is configured.
Yeah. That may be more about configuration than it is about the VPN itself.
But yes, the joys of enterprise tech is basically what the gist of this is. And
well, I've used Oracle tools over the years with the different large organizations, whether it's Emory University or District of Columbia Public Schools.
Well, it used to be Sun Microsystems, and they kind of ran the world.
Right. Well, yeah.
When it came to server-side infrastructure.
Every time I run into an Oracle product, I look at it and go, maybe it's just that people don't buy Oracle stuff that often, and so it just sort of like sits there and stagnates. But I've never felt like I've used an Oracle product and I go, man, this is some cutting-edge stuff. So both Emory and DCPS used software called PeopleSoft.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's like every large,
PeopleSoft.
It's
Yeah,
called
we have
PeopleSoft.
that at
Yeah.
my school as well.
And so Emory's had it for a long time. So a friend of mine has been attending Emory in one way or another since like the early 2000s, right? And
That's
so
impressive.
So when she started at Emory, she was using this implementation of PeopleSoft. We're still using the same implementation of PeopleSoft. So I don't know how much of it is actually Oracle and how much of it is people don't like Microsoft Office, right? Like, or Windows XP. Windows XP is still a significant amount of the PC market.
It's less than 50%.
It's less than 50% because that's
like 47%.
It's Windows 7 is now actually the largest implementation of Windows in the U.S. But that's a relatively recent thing.
In the U.S.
In the U.S.
Notice that
do international if you bring China into that and it switches back the total other way. So people just seem to like buy a thing and go, hey, it's good enough. I don't really understand what it does, and I don't really understand the problems with it. More like, I don't understand what it can be, so what it is probably all right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, it seems to work okay. I mean, people know how to use it, right? So that's all that really matters.
We've been using it, and technology's always got problems, so it probably can't be any better than this, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Curious, what do you use PeopleSoft for at Emory?
that's how I like register for classes and get my grades and register for my health insurance.
Because
And
as far as I can tell, the only thing that we use it for is like ordering stuff,
let's see, we
like
in DC.
classroom, school supplies, and all that
Wait,
kind of stuff.
so-
Anytime you need something for a club or whatever, you're supposed to order through PeopleSoft. But it doesn't seem
But,
to
like,
do anything else that I'm
in
aware of.
At DCPS, that's how we handled our health insurance. It's how we handled our time clock for like I had a part-time, like an after-school position. That's how I'd log my hours in PeopleSoft. And that, essentially that's all the kind of administrative work, both as an employee of Emory and as a student at Emory, is all managed also through PeopleSoft. It's how we handle all of it.
One of the things that that was implemented for us this year was a new system for substitute requests. So it used to be last year or year before last, whatever. We had the sub line, and we would just call in to the sub line, and then the magical person whose only job is to find subs would find a sub for us.
I love magical people. They make magical
Yeah,
things happen.
and I so appreciate that, because I know a lot of school districts don't have that, and you
No,
have to
we
find your
certainly
own
didn't.
sub,
Yeah.
and that's just nuts.
We just didn't have subs.
So this year the county rolled out a
You're on
system
your own, damn it.
called ASOP, and ASOP finds your subs for you, and it's got a lot of there are a lot of good things about it. You can go in, it's got all the subs listed in it, and you can pick you can have favorites.
You
basically
can order a sub like a pizza,
well, what it does, so basically
We'll be there in 30 minutes.
like a prostitute in Vegas.
well, it just depends on what kind of classroom you have. My classroom. Anyway.
I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
You probably
Like a
shouldn't. You
prostitute
can get,
Vegas.
you can get diseases that way. I'm told.
So I was talking about serious things. Guys.
So am I. That is actually
Jeez.
how you. I understand that you order a prostitute in Vegas. My Vegas experience doesn't actually include this, but they advertise it on billboards that drive through traffic.
They hand you
little
little
cards.
flyers.
Yep.
I'm just so sad. I've never been to Vegas.
You should come to
No.
CES with us this
Missing
year.
Out.
No, it's not that sad. Trust me.
Missing Out.
You should come to CES with us. It'll be so much fun. We'll look at really big TVs.
I would just spend a lot of time going around saying,
Trey will wave at really
buys
big
this?
TVs.
No, I mean, yes, that's most of what we did too.
right. And
Well, I guess most of it's
I'm
just
even
like
worse than the
Chinese
video.
case and cable manufacturers, and you go, "What are you doing here?" No one cares. So it's just
Do they know that you're here, or did you sneak in?
booth after booth named Shenzhen, and it's just like the worst iPhone case crap you've ever seen, and
I seem to remember that was on the second floor, way in the back corner where nobody went.
no, but they were kind of everywhere. If you
You
think
knew when you got there. Well, there was concentrations of them though.
yeah.
Every so often there'd
Can
be
you
ones
get
in
the
random
ones, all
spots.
the kids at school now have all the iPhone cases that are shaped like various characters.
Yep.
One of my kids found one somebody left at the cafeteria that was a Superman one. I know
Look, honey,
a
if
kid
it-
who has Lilo and Stitch and Hello Kitty. Yeah, apparently
Hello
this is a
Kitty.
new thing with the kids these days.
Hello, Cougar.
Hello, Cougar.
It is not
Hello,
Cougar.
There we go.
I wish it was.
There it is. Hello, Cougar. Look, if it's an iPhone case, you can probably buy it at CES. Yes.
Fantastic.
Or you can actually talk to its supplier at CES.
It's the Chinese. They'll sell you one.
CES is mostly televisions and stuff you never want to buy. So it's mostly just stuff you never want to buy. Polaroid has a big booth. Monster
Polaroid was fun because it was you guys make stuff still,
You make a
but
70
not the
inch.
stuff that people actually know of. They had some old guy that had taken a bunch of Polaroid pictures that was talking.
That was cool.
was
Then we
kinda
went
cool,
to my
But it was
favorite though.
sad. It
My
was so
favorite
sad.
was the Monster booth, right? So we went to Monster Cable, and this is the only booth I almost got thrown out of. No, that's not true. I did almost get thrown out of the Samsung booth because I was just about
made merciless
I was
fun
just about to start was it Samsung or LG? I can't even remember now. No, it was Samsung. Where I was where was the one where I was like,
Oh, the one with the finger?
Yeah.
No, that was
This is why
LG.
you
That was
two need a
LG.
chaperone.
that was LG.
I was technically the chaperone.
So Monster
Trey, after all.
had this set up where it was like, you can see the low signal noise. It was just like a wave doing this versus a wave doing this, with like no explanation of what that means or how that actually improves a digital signal.
So Trey went and picked a fight.
So I went and picked a fight.
Of course.
I didn't get it thrown out though. At least I don't remember getting thrown out. Maybe
He didn't say what he was thinking.
right. I went to.
Made the guy say something really dumb.
I just made him say something totally incorrect to see if he would in fact lie to me to sell a product.
And the answer was yes.
And oh, this will do 3 gigabytes. Yes, but the standard isn't like that. That's meaningless because none of your stuff is pushing 3 gigabytes a second. Well, it'll do. It's solid gold. It's made of myrrh and angel dust. Like you packed
That's
cocaine
illegal.
into your cables,
Poop.
dude. That's illegal. We've captured the only living unicorn, and it poops, and then we integrate that into the cable because it makes it amazingly magical. Your colors will really pop. It's like so.
Oh God.
So not only have you captured an endangered species,
Okay, the show title: Unicorn poop makes colors pop.
unicorn poop makes colors
Write that
pop.
down.
Apparently, according to
Somebody
Monster,
first
look,
off-
this is just what the Monster Cable rep told me. That one of the secrets behind
Let's just say
their
unicorn poop.
their success is unicorn poop, and it's why they really have to charge $150. Because when you have the only living unicorn and you use its dung to make cables, A, wildly inefficient because what does it even do? B, that's a really expensive operation. So what were we talking about again? I don't know.
I was talking about the substitute request system at my
Yes.
school.
We're
Right.
way off the rails.
Yeah, so,
the moment has passed.
Yeah.
So Trey, what's new with you?
So I have actual news. So I went
the news.
I went to the local Microsoft store here in Atlanta, and I actually got to.
ACS Sandero?
No, it's the Microsoft Surface Pro 3.
Oh wow, how about that?
So I got to spend some time with the Surface Pro 3. I spent about 10 minutes, 15 minutes with the Surface Pro 3. So let's talk about the positives first. It's good. They tell me in management classes to really lead with the positives. And so I'm going to lead with the positives.
Cut down even more.
Yeah, so I can just cut you down to size later. So I'm going to leave with the positives. It is is thin and as light as it should be. It is finally a tablet/laptop that I can look at and go, that's actually the right form factor. The 3:2 aspect ratio makes sense.
It doesn't look ridiculous in portrait mode.
No, it makes total sense if you think of it as a notepad. That is a total, they thought that through and it works. The pen feels very nice. The screen has the least amount of lag of any of these things that I've seen. I'm no scientist. I'm not measuring the lag in microseconds. But I mean, it felt relatively lag free. I felt like I was drawing a line, not I made a gesture and then it drew a line. I felt like I was actually doing the work, which is what I was looking for.
How's the pressure sensitivity?
That's not something I tested because that's not necessarily something I'm totally interested in.
Well, but not even that. When you were writing, did it make? Because one of the things with that is it's supposed to fatten out the line a little bit. And it's supposed to
I
look
definitely
more
did that.
natural.
It definitely
Did it?
When I was doing kind of broader stroke stuff, when I was handwriting them, that's a pretty consistent pressure. When I was doing broader stroke stuff, I could fatten out the line by doing more pressure. I mean, all of that stuff makes sense. I really liked that. And
now, what app were you using to test this?
OneNote.
Oh, okay, good.
I was using OneNote. All of this, most of what I was looking at is OneNote because I think that's one of the main purposes behind this device is its integration with OneNote. A lot of it felt right. It was super light. It was hard to think of it as a Core i3 device because it's the same weight as essentially my original iPad. I mean, it's only a little bit heavier than the original Surface RT. And so you have this device.
It's also significantly larger as far as screen size.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it definitely feels a little bigger. It doesn't feel huge. It doesn't feel bulky. They got that in all those aspects of that device feel right. I realized I can sit with it on my lap.
The store guy was not super thrilled about that.
Store guy wasn't super thrilled that I wanted to test that feature, but I did it anyways because.
Wait. So how did that go? Well, let's go back.
How did what go?
You were like, I'm going to go sit down with this.
Yeah,
He asked.
I asked, And what I did is I brought a stool from
And
the
the guy
Xbox
said,
area over to the demo table, and that's where I tested it. So it never got more than 6 feet away from him. Or
And
else
I
I would have just
spotted.
run off with it.
Hey, look, an eagle.
Hey, look, an eagle. Caw-caw! Boom. Free Surface Pro 3. We should get invited to more launch events, really.
And then Trey got arrested. I mean, that's how the story ends.
And that's how most of these stories end, really.
Somewhere down the line.
I'm going to mouth off at a monster official, steal a cable, lash it to the unicorn, and ride off into the sunset.
He will ride his jet ski line.
We'll ride that jet ski unicorn into the sunset. Wonderful.
Unicorn.
So, a lot of what they pitched about that device, I think, is for real. That the angle on the keyboard made sense to me, and that's something I was really sensitive to about this device. Is it going to work on my lap?
Now, how does
I think it will.
feel?
I mean, it feels like the other keyboards.
No, but I mean, so by that I mean, with the little elevation, did it actually give you a noticeable change in comfort?
I think so, but I wasn't sitting there with a Surface RT and a Surface Pro 3 there 1-to-1. I had tried them both within a 24-hour period, and so yeah, it felt a little better. And I think it's workable. It's not. I'll put it this way: it's not ideal in the lab. It's just not. But it's also livable in that way. It's not like I'm just going to be so frustrated that I'm going to use that thing as a frisbee, which I've considered.
Which is the way
device.
that most of the iPad case
Right.
things
No,
are.
look, I just want to. They're ugly. They're stupid.
They're heavy. They're bulky.
They're bulky. They ruin the device. No, like this makes sense. Like I would snap it if I was going to use it a lot in like tablet mode or set it down my desk to write. I would probably just snap the keyboard off. But also
That's
Microsoft
what I
makes that
tend
really
to do.
easy.
Like if I'm going to do something like watch video, like for extended periods of time, I will just snap the keyboard off. But otherwise, or just fold it around the back.
Right, but I mean it's totally designed to do that. It's one of those like key selling points of the Surface that they're not lying about. Like those keyboards work. And to me, it's the Surface's key innovation in the tablet space. It sounds kind of dumb, tablet with a keyboard, but they found a way to keep its tablet identity and give it a keyboard. It's what I've
keyboard that doesn't just suck.
I love my typepad.
Right. The touchpad I think worked okay too. I didn't hate it, and Sydney, you lived with it
As
for
soon
months.
as I learned how to type the letter A.
Well, yeah. I mean, it had some challenges, but it wasn't. Let me put it this way: it's better than the iPad, no matter which keyboard you're using. Full stop.
Yes.
Having used both products extensively, it is better typing experience whether you're using the touch thing or the typepad. Hands down. There is no competition. They're not lying about that. So, I have some critiques. Or actually, I have one.
It's you. I'm not surprised.
I have one critique. And I haven't decided whether it's a deal breaker or not. I'm borderline buying this device.
I am buying this device.
Right. But I mean, what has me on the edge is fundamentally the handwriting, the writing is slower than I am. I can write fast.
So what does that mean?
So say, here's the scenario that I'm concerned about. So say I'm taking notes in a lecture, and I write pretty fast when I'm taking notes in a lecture to keep up. The screen starts to miss strokes that I'm making. That I can overload its input such that it can't do all this, it can't keep up with all the strokes it needs to make, and so it starts missing strokes. That's what I mean by I'm faster than that keyboard. Or faster than the screen. Now, what I don't know is whether or not that's a deal breaker or not. And the problem is the only way to find out if it's a deal breaker or not is to spend $930 to get the device and take it into a lecture and actually do it.
And find out if it is in fact a deal breaker.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, that stinks.
Because for most of the writing I do, I know it's not going to be a deal breaker. So if I'm in a meeting, I'm not like transcribing the meeting. I just write down the key points as they come up. Like, oh, we need to schedule this for that date, or oh, this person's responsible for that. So I write that down, and that's fine. Or if I'm sketching out a design, or if I'm writing out a lecture that I'm going to give, I mean, none of those are going to be a problem. But the idea of, the way I take notes in a lecture is I basically transcribe it word for word in my own shorthand, but I'm still moving pretty fast with the pen. And if this can't keep up, I think I would be frustrated. to say the least.
And then the frisbee thing comes out.
And then the frisbee. Well, I mean, I'm not going to frisbee.
And darts, because you got a pen.
Right, and I'll just throw the pen at the thing. I mean, fundamentally, I don't want to invest in this thing, and I don't want this to be another one of those, like, I think I found the answer, and it turns out to not be the answer.
Right. Now, okay, here's my next question. So, like, the pen has the little one-note click thing from like sleep. Did you try that out?
Yep, it works.
How quickly does it open?
A couple seconds.
Okay, so it's
not
like a
instant,
reasonable...
but it's reasonable. And if you've already got the thing open, it's instant. But I mean,
right, well, but that's the, like, I would not expect it to be instant if it's just, like, off.
No, I mean, it took a couple seconds. I ended up clicking the button twice because I didn't know if it had taken, and then it just took a couple seconds. It's not instant, but it,
I mean, as long as it doesn't take more than, like, 10 seconds.
No. It wasn't anything like that. There was a noticeable lag, but it was only a beat. It wasn't anything crazy. I didn't get bored waiting on it, right? This is not booting up a Windows 98 machine. We're like, go make lunch, come back, eat lunch. And then
you decide you want to access the internet, and so then you open up AOL because that's the only internet that anyone ever had, and then it makes lots of noise.
No, then it'll crash. And then it'll blue screen because you overloaded the RAM with the crash. And then you restart it so you go eat dinner because at this point it's dinner time. And then you finally get on the internet around about 11 o'clock when you realize everyone else is on the internet looking at pornography, and your entire day has been wasted. You
get on at about 11 o'clock, and at 11:30 it crashes because guess what? Porn.
Because everyone's doing the same thing you're doing. So yeah, it's not like that. It's reasonable. It's not instant. It wasn't like, wow, that was fast. But I also wasn't like, oh, okay. I think it has enough power for what it's doing.
It met your expectations. It did not.
No, I don't. I mean, that's the problem.
I mean, in speed.
In speed, sure, yeah. But I mean, I have pretty low expectations for what it can do.
Fair.
As long as it can run OneNote and the internet in a reasonably snappy fashion, I don't care. Because this is replacing my piece of junk MacBook Air.
Now, I know if you did what I always do, did you check the specs on it? Which one were you playing?
That information is not available. These are pre-release units.
So they're locked down? You can't get to system requirements?
No, I could not. Now, that may be different at different locations, but I couldn't get to them. Also, this is Windows 8, so how do you even get to them? I mean, it's buried under things that you don't even know.
Lost to the ages.
You go, okay, I got the answer to this.
Huh?
Go to the desktop.
You fold the kickstand in, you take the type cover, you lay it flat, you hold it in your hand like this, and then it's all in the wrist, and you go...
No. You take the pen and you turn it upside down.
Yep.
And then you stab yourself in the eye with it.
And then you pull it out and then
repeat.
And move about an inch and a half to the left and repeat. Yep, that's pretty much what you do. That's how you find out everything you need to know about Windows 8.1. Right, if you're trying to adjust a setting. Using it, fine. Fix it. I don't know how to fix Windows 8. I know how to use Windows 8. It's pretty intuitive to use. But the two control panels thing is insane.
Windows X? Is that the one? I probably shouldn't be clicking keyboard shortcuts while I'm Skyping.
Yeah, I think it's Windows X. I know what you're talking about.
X, I think, brings up all the power user tools.
It does. But there's still two control panels. So even when you bring up that control panel,
I hate that.
You are not guaranteed to be able to change the setting. That's my problem. It's not that I can't get to control panel. I can get to control panel. I can't guarantee that what I need is in control panel.
Control panel?
That's in the correct control panel. That's the problem.
You're holding it wrong, okay?
Probably.
You're gonna love it.
However, this is important to note, this is the first Surface that there's more than one way you can hold it. And not look like just an idiot.
Right, no, look, like, this Surface gets close to the device I've been looking for possibly my whole life. I just don't know if the screen is quite responsive enough for what I want to do with it. And there may just not be screens responsive
honestly,
enough.
I think the only company that's making a device that is responsive enough that it would do what you want it to do is honestly Nokia.
I don't know.
Because they have the ultra sensitive screens.
Yeah.
And so with the right hardware accessory,
Maybe.
as far
I
as
mean,
a
who
pen,
knows?
you could probably pull it off.
I mean, I would probably. I write pretty fast. Maybe I'd even beat a Wacom. Who knows? But
Yeah, okay, and that's the other interesting thing about the Surface. I don't think we talked about this. It's interesting that they moved from the Wacom
they moved
technology
away from Wacom. Yeah.
to the.
I don't know who it is, but it has fewer pressure points. So like Wacom had like over 1,000 pressure points, and this only has 200.
But like it's more accurate. What is it? It's
I don't remember.
I
It's
think that
different.
what it is in order to make it feel like more natural, fluid writing.
Which,
They
wait, if
basically
you
sacrifice pressure points for more natural writing.
and two, as long as I was writing not at full speed, it felt pretty natural. Like I said, I felt like I was drawing a line. I felt like I was writing.
I mean, it sounds like the right device for me. The thing I have to check to see is if it fits in my Padfolio.
I'm sure it will. I mean, does an
Because
iPad fit
there
in your
will be
Padfolio?
nothing that will be more awesome than arriving at a job site and opening my Padfolio to my Surface Pro 3.
See, I mean, I'm looking forward to like sitting in meetings and this taking over like meeting notes and having all that just sync to OneNote rather than having an office full of legal pads, which is what I have at the moment. I just have an office in
You can make it yellow paper in OneNote.
Yeah, I know. Like, look, I have like office. Here's another one. There's that one. There's more in here. It's just I'm surrounded by legal pads and
And it's
So
really sad when you can't find one with an empty page. That's always my frustration.
right. I mean, here's another notebook that I'm carrying and another notebook and
You live a fascinating life.
so like I would love to start to replace all of that with this. I am worried that it's still too slow. That give it a couple more years and the tech will finally be there. But I don't know if it's there yet. And I just don't know if how much I'm willing to spend to test this theory. Is this a $930 experiment or not? Now, a PS4 has no game I want to play this year, so that's $400.
Also only a $450 experiment.
That's a $450 experiment I don't have to do this year. I can wait till it drops.
And it comes in white.
Yeah, it does now come in white. We'll talk about that on the Thursday show, but it does come now in white. So there's no game I want to play on PS4, so maybe this becomes reasonable because I'm not going to buy a PS4 this year. Wait till next year when The Order and
Keep justifying it to yourself, Trey.
Uncharted comes out. I mean, I want this device. I just don't want to end up being disappointed. I've been burned too many times, right? I bought an original iPad, right? Which
Done
also
for.
seemed like the answer, but had a key flaw. You can't type on it.
And it doesn't have backwards compatibility for other apps.
And it, at that point, didn't have a full version of Office. Now it does. But that's a really recent thing.
Yeah,
like
as
this
of
year.
like 3 months ago.
Not that long ago. So from like 2010 to 2014, there was not a functional version of Microsoft Office on the iPad,
But there was Pages.
which is, from an academic point of view, is worthless
Exactly. But
because it changes the formatting. I mean, this happened, right? I mean, this is why that iPad died. Is I was up against a deadline, and the device I had with me was my iPad, and I couldn't fix what needed to get fixed. I had to leave what I was doing, go find a computer lab, and log in there. And I lost like 25 minutes, and that thing ended up being late because I couldn't fix it on the iPad because the iPad kept changing the formatting and is a worthless surface to type on.
oh, speaking of devices that you thought were the answer, I know where your netbook is.
What happened to my netbook?
It's still alive.
I mean, it's a hardy device. It has no battery life. But see, that's the problem. So, like the iPad, you couldn't type on it, and the netbook had no battery life.
And that's the HP netbook. That was your first mistake.
Well, that was kind of the one at the time. It was that
Yeah,
or the.
you went for-
on the website
you went for the
called
power
Trey's Tech
over-
Graveyard.
You went for the power over the battery life.
No, I went based on price point, which is a lot of what happens.
Which
is
was
I go
also the problem.
which is I go based on price point. But you know, the netbook didn't have the battery life or really the processor to do what I want. The iPad you can't type on. This Surface seems to answer both of those charges. It has decent battery life, especially for what it is, a full Windows 8 PC. And you can type on it with the type cover. Again, it's $130 more, but still. And it has this pen thing that replaces my Smart Pen with software that works. Because I like my Smart Pen, but that software is awful. This is just... I'm sorry, LiveScribe. You don't know how to write code. You know how to make hardware, and your hardware is phenomenal. And the idea behind it is great. But even, like, you produce files that are over 50 megabytes. And then you don't let me sync them to Evernote because that's over the Evernote file size limit. Explain that one to me. Riddle me that, Batman.
Anyways.
So, Sydney, what's new with you?
Well, what's new with me isn't exactly new with me, but I feel like it's an expanding situation somewhat. And that...
Oh, wait a second. That could mean many, many things.
Just turning into tech, it's a thing.
Yeah. It's babies all over Facebook.
Well,
babies everywhere.
Sure. That is literally an expanding thing.
Facebook babies.
Like,
okay, so I'm 28. I will be 29 in October.
You said your age on the internet? You know you can't take it back now.
I really don't.
Wait,
the only
who
people that I
cares?
don't tell how old I am are my students, simply because I am relatively close in age to the older ones. And it's really funny to listen to them guess, too.
Yeah, that is kind of fun.
So... one of the things that is kind of fascinating to me about this, all of my friends having babies and all of the babies on Facebook, is the varying approaches to Facebook and babies. And one of my friends posted something recently. She's also a teacher, but she teaches elementary school.
Which is where everyone has children.
Right. Well, about... one of her students gave a presentation in class and had a picture of another one of her students in it, and the student whose picture was in the presentation was really upset and didn't understand how her picture was in there, and apparently it had come from the internet, and she didn't know how her picture was on the internet because she doesn't have Facebook. But
the parents do.
Yes, exactly. It was apparently a thumbnail from a YouTube video that her father had posted. And so she, my friend was kind of getting into this
Kid after my own
thought
heart.
about her own child, and because her daughter is 3, maybe not even 3 yet, 2, I don't know, she's little. And questioning how will my daughter feel about having this internet presence that was built without her consent, and
or even knowledge, like
right, exactly.
I mean, Molly Wood even wrote an article.
Like, because we all have those, baby
right?
pictures
I didn't read
and
that.
baby videos and all those things, but we all also grew up in a time where, if somebody wanted to see that, they had to actually physically come to your house and look at it.
Yeah,
It
and
wasn't-
apparently people do that, recreationally, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
And so
I'm
I just
sorry.
and I have such a variety. Like, I have 2 friends that I know that have babies that just have not put a single picture of their children on Facebook, which I totally respect and I understand that. And then there are people who just go in completely the opposite direction. And I love all of my friends dearly, and they're all wonderful people, but Trey and I were having a conversation about, I know people on Facebook who post, no joke, a weekly update of complete with pictures and like, here's what our baby accomplished this week.
Like,
Your baby is 2 months old. What can they possibly accomplish?
How type A do you have to be to now start listing your baby's achievements?
Right, and
listing your own achievements on the internet isn't nearly enough.
And
now
it's-
your baby needs to appear to be
things
superior.
And it's not even like, oh, my child took their first steps. Like, okay, that's a big deal.
Yeah, sure,
It's
I'll watch
had
that.
a
That's
play
cute.
date with Johnny this week.
Who cares?
Wait.
Threw
Who
up all
cares?
over the kitchen.
I don't care.
That's every
Projectile
weekend.
vomited on grandma. Like,
Great.
it's just the baby overshare is just awful. And so I feel like I have some friends that have, a really good approaches. Like, again, this same friend who had posted the questioning herself about her daughter's internet presence, I feel like, has approached this in a really healthy way, where she has a Facebook group for information about her kids. So she basically said, hey, I'm starting this. If you want to see pictures, if you want pregnancy updates, join here. Or like when she was pregnant, her first pregnancy with her daughter, it was, if you want to keep getting pregnancy status updates, let me
Which
know.
I don't.
And so she was only putting those updates out to people who said yes, like basically opt into information and about my children, which I think is totally healthy way to approach that.
It's an interesting way to approach it, but I still go back to the your kid's gonna have to deal with the fact that at some point in their lives that when you look them up, there will be
Right.
pictures on the internet, because we all know that Facebook doesn't actually keep things private forever.
Right.
Well, no, and people don't understand their privacy settings, and
I mean, I don't. Apparently, I thought I understood my privacy settings, and Facebook screwed me on it. So
yeah, they keep doing that. But even
it's
like
that whole friends of friends thing that gets you.
But even so,
Yeah.
like, I happen to work for an organization that demands to see your I understand that this is technically illegal, but they don't know this. That demands to see your social
They
media
don't care.
before they'll hire you. And what happens where, I mean, for me, this isn't an issue, but 20 years down the road, where your entire life, like the dumb things you did when you were a child,
When you
are now
were 8 years old and you accidentally lit something on fire.
right.
Is this just me?
Is now
Or even just like the pictures of, you're 4 years old and it's totally normal for you to run around your house in your underpants, but do you really want, hundreds of people on the internet seeing a picture of your
or your
4-year-old
future employer.
in their underpants?
Although to be fair, Throwback Thursday
What?
is currently. You know where Trey?
Hashtag
you don't live
TBT, Trey. Get with the program.
Damn it, Trey.
What is wrong with all of you?
Okay, so it's a thing on the internet.
Sure.
To post pictures from back in the day when you were little and a child on Thursdays.
I was never a child.
With hashtag TBT or Throwback Thursday or whatever. So basically, all the people that are our age are self-incriminating by scanning in pictures and posting them on the internet.
Yeah, that's happening.
I've seen some pictures where I'm like, really? I understand that you're like 4 in this picture, but are you sure you want that on the internet?
I get that my Facebook picture is and always has been a picture of me when I was 3.
I'm still convinced that that's a key part of Facebook's code at this point. If Trey ever changes his profile picture, Facebook will
world
crumble.
will end.
I have honestly never changed my profile picture. It has always
There's some
been
key security features that
the
are based on
same
that.
picture of me when I was 3. I thought that was a pretty funny joke when I was 19, and I did that. I have yet to reverse this decision. 8 years later. So yeah, okay, I guess there is. And then I get someone posted a throwback. Now that I think of it, someone did post a picture of me when I was a baby to Facebook. But
Yeah, my mom does that too. Like that's another thing with
I'm so glad my parents are not on Facebook.
our parents' generation being on Facebook. My mom, especially birthdays, she'll post things, pictures
Well, but
of
that's
me and
not
my
even our
brother
parents.
and all
Like,
that kind of stuff.
People that are our age that have children post things like that. So I think it's just, we can just say people with children.
I don't necessarily have an issue.
Collective insanity.
Theoretically, I don't have an issue with people posting things of their kids, but the minutia that it gets into.
Yeah.
Although, I don't want to read it, and I don't. I can very well just skip over it or block you from my
really
feed or
good at
unfriend
ignoring.
you. So, I'm really good at ignoring stuff. That's not really what's troubling to me. It's that's now in the record. That's now been entered into the record, not of your baby book, or not of, your family inside jokes, but to your broader social network. So say you're, an average Facebook user who's our generation has 1,000 friends. So now 1,000 people have access, and that's if you set your privacy settings right. What if you set your privacy settings to friends of friends?
Or
so now you're scaled out to
you have your
100,000
privacy
people.
settings set correctly, and then grandma shares the picture, and grandma doesn't have her privacy settings set correctly.
Right. And so now, details about your bowel movements from when you were 18 months
I've seen those.
are now available
Does that
to
exist?
your future partners, your future
Jimmy,
employers.
you're clearly not friends with enough young. People definitely post.
I'm good with that. I am the
explosive
young in the
diarrhea
group, despite my
and
lack of hair.
projectile vomit Facebook statuses.
I mean, look, I'm a public health practitioner.
I get a lot of breastfeeding ones too.
This is a field that deals mostly in sex and poop. I get that. So, like, I'm not fazed by your stories about sex and poop, but I'm pretty sure that kid and that teenager and that adult is not gonna want that out there, even if you think even if you think your kid's poop is the cutest thing on the planet. Guess what? It's not.
Poop's not cute.
It's still poop.
There's no way that poop is
Unless
cute.
it's unicorn poop.
Even if it's like, no one needs to see that. No one like.
Okay, to be fair, I've not seen pictures.
I have. Are you kidding me?
Bodily functions. Those are generally status updates.
Why is that a status? What?
I'm not saying that that's good.
Well, so that way
saying
they can
it's
tweet it
better
to
than a
Twitter as
picture.
well.
I don't. Look, this is.
I don't post to Facebook every time our cats vomit on the floor.
Maybe we should.
See, that's one of those things that people don't appreciate, though, is when they're telling stories about their kids, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, my cat does that same thing."
Or
I'm sorry
appreciate that.
I'm sorry that my cat is more intelligent than your 2-year-old. I don't know what to tell you. He says a lot.
Let's be clear, it's not Darwin.
It's not Darwin. I mean, Elliot is probably smarter than a 5th grader.
I've seen Darwin try to leap and capture a bug that was a shadow, actually, of a bug.
My favorite is when Darwin leaps 10 feet in the air for apparently no particular reason.
Because there's a bug outside of a window.
Elliot, I actually need that legal.
Speaking of which, Cat is making his dislike known.
I think society is
discussing him on
doomed.
the internet.
There is no such thing as privacy, and not even in like the like interesting way where like we live in a panopticon where we can catch corruption. More in like when you're 12, your potential girlfriend can know what you were pooping when you were 18 months.
All those embarrassing stories that you're worried that... So, like, this is the analogy for me.
Yeah.
All of the stories that you're afraid your parents will tell your significant other
Are now available
on
through
the internet
Google.
Already
for them to
out
find
there.
for themselves.
And now already out there.
So
And
don't poop and post.
And so, like, what kind of cyber or in real life bullying can this lead to?
IRL?
Right?
It leads me to compare babies. I'm like, oh, I don't need to
Well,
see
there are
pictures of
ugly.
that one.
Turns out there are ugly babies.
This is what I learned from Facebook.
large
Like
numbers of
I was
ugly
one of those
babies.
people who's like, oh, there's no such thing as an ugly baby. Yes, there is.
Wrong.
I feel vindicated on this front. On that note, it's probably time to get out of here.
I feel like a terrible person.
I
Always.
usually do.
Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Welcome to T4. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Techies Talking Tech Tonight. If you have any feedback, not about your baby, podcast at textlesscall.com, Facebook.com/textlesscall, Pinterest.com/textlesscall.
We'll be pinning baby pictures.
Nope. Or at textlesscall on the Twitters. Good night.
Send us baby pictures. We will mock them mercilessly.